We cleaned up our async image view quite a bit. We got it where images are resizing nicely. We're showing a progress view as it loads, and then if there's an error, we show that. And you might have noticed there's quite a few errors. Sometimes it's weird things like this, encoding issues or missing data, but more often than not, it's something a little more silly. It usually means it's not an image, like it's perhaps a video or a sound clip that's hosted usually on YouTube. So you may recall thumbnail URL in our model. That's an optional URL that comes back and links to a thumbnail image for those kind of non-image media assets. So our first change I think we should probably make is in our network code. Let's move this out into we'll move that out into a constant. We'll just add it to the end here. So we're still getting a random count of 20. And then we want to make sure that we get the thumbnails back. And we want them back all the time, regardless of whether, even if we knew that what we're getting was an image, we still want that thumbnail because, it'll put something there when we don't need it, or when we need it, and it won't when we don't. So, which is really great. Okay, so that should get it with thumbnails. So we should find, if we were to run now, we would at least have that thumbnail data. It wouldn't actually display anything differently. So what we'll do here in pod detail view, as you recall, we're passing let's change this device real quick. I don't want that to show up as a mini, just a little too big. And let's turn the sidebar off. So nothing's changed here. We run this, we get an image just like we would expect. If we change it to a video, let's run it, and we get an error still, right? So let's fix that. And we'll set URL to, instead of setting it to pod URL, let's set it to pod thumbnail URL. And if it's nil, we'll use nil coalescing to set it to pod URL. And if that neither of those work, we don't get any row here. But if this one works or this one works, then we get something. So let's change that back to what it was previously, just to confirm that it still works as we expect. Okay, that's looking pretty good. What I think we should do here, we could do I guess we could have multiple detail views here, but instead of doing that, let's go with multiple pod image views. So let's copy this URL, static variable URL, and we'll rename it to thumbnail URL. And instead of getting the URL from there, we'll get the thumbnail URL. And then we'll do the same thing here. We'll copy that and we'll change it from URL to thumbnail URL. And we'll make a section and we'll name it image. Put that around the image. That way, if somebody comes along and looks, or even me later, I'll have some idea what this is trying to show me, especially if it says, if I type that correctly. Let's try running again. We should get 2 rows. Oh, let's see, we forgot something. Let's see what it says. Implicitly wrapped on 20. Oh, here we go. And it didn't have a thumbnail on that one, and then we were force unwrapping. That's okay here in the preview. If we were doing that in our app, that would be bad because then the app would crash. Here it's great because it crashed right away. We knew something was wrong and we could take action to fix it. So that's looking pretty good right there. Let's switch back to our iPad mini view. And we'll just test this real quickly. Make sure our changes work. and things are looking good. I guess if we really wanted to test it, we could be sure we get one, make sure we get something that is a video. But we know it works in the previews. I think I'm going to call this good in a second here rather than spend a lot of time trying to confirm that. And that's it for today. We identified the problem that we weren't displaying an image on a lot of these if they were video, or perhaps maybe it's even audio that has a thumbnail image. So we updated our network in order to get those thumbnails every time if they're available, whenever they're available. We updated our detailed view to display the thumbnail if it's available. Otherwise, we pass it the URL, and then we updated our previews. So I think that's pretty good. I'm going to stop in just a second here just because I'm trying to keep them short for this Christmas week. So to save myself time and anyone who may be watching these. So until next time.